This is homework set 18. We're still reducing rational expressions. Okay, you can see these problems are getting a little bit bigger now. What do you notice in the numerator? 45, 66, and 15. It turns out that there is a 3 common to both of these. Now here's how I know. If I look at these digits, I got 4, 5, 6, 6, 15. If I add up the digits, 9, 12, and 6, they're all divisible by 3. So if you add up the digits in a number and that addition is divisible by 3, the whole number is divisible by 3. So I can remove a 3 out of here, which, and I can also move what? An x cubed, x squared, x. I can move out an x. So let's do that. Let's take out a 3 and an x. And doing so, what's left? Well, let's see. 45 divided by 3 is 15. There were 3 x's to begin with. I removed 1, so there's 2 left. Then, positive 66 divided by 3 is positive 22. There were 2 x's. I removed 1, so there's 1 left. And then, negative 15 divided by 3 is minus 5. There was an x, but we removed it. Now in the denominator, nothing's common, so let's just see if we can factor it. Only one way to get a 3. A 3x and an x. Only one way to get a 5, right? A 5 and a 1. Now, if I put the 5 here, I'd be at 15 and a 1. I'm just looking for a 2. I don't think the 5 is going to go here. I think the 5, if it's going to work, will have to go here and the 1 here. Now, I notice that the 5 is negative, so these two numbers will have opposite signs, and I'll put that middle plus sign with the bigger product. Now, the way I've written this, the 5x is bigger than the 3x, so the plus sign is going to go here. The minus sign will go here. Now, let's try to factor this trinomial right here. So I'll bring the 3x along, parentheses, the denominator, I'll just go ahead and rewrite that, 3x plus 5, x minus 1. Now, let's factor that top. What do you want to use for the 15? 15 and 1 or 5 and 3? You know, I got a 3 down here. If I use a 5 and a 3, I'm thinking maybe I'll get a match. So I'm going to use 5x, 3x. And then what do you want to use for the 5? Well, it's a 5 and a 1 only. And I know for sure I cannot put the 5 here, right? Because if I put the 5 here, I would have 5s in common. And up here, there's nothing in common. So if you don't have anything in common to begin with, you can't suddenly have something come up in common. So 5 and a 1, a 5 and a 1, I'll have to put the 5 here and the 1 here. So let's do that. I'll put the 5 here, the 1 here, and the 5 is negative. So the 1 and the 5 have opposite signs. I'll put that middle plus sign with the bigger product. Now the way I've written it, the inner product is 3x. The outer product is 25x. This is bigger, right? That's bigger. So I'll put the plus over here, the minus here. Now I can see that this 3x plus 5 will cancel with that 3x plus 5. So we are left with 3x times 5x minus 1 over x minus 1. There we go. And this works as long as x is not equal to negative 5 over 3. Do you see it? It's got to come from here. So what's going to make that 0? So you just solve a little equation. Subtract the 5, getting negative 5, divide by the 3. Okay, now they're not asking us for this, so it's just a little extra. Now in question 12, this fraction is already reduced, but what we're trying to do is find the values of x that make this undefined. Okay, one undefined. This is a fraction. It will be undefined if the denominator is 0. So what I'm thinking, this is undefined if x plus 3 equals 0. So what solves it? All right, just subtract 3. X equals negative 3. So if you put in negative 3, you get 0 down here. You get negative 6 up here. Negative 6 over 0 is undefined. All right, so that's what we're looking for. All right, so what do we want here? We want x equals negative 3 is going to make it undefined. Question 13, what values of x is going to make this undefined? Now, numerators can be 0. Numerators can be 0, so don't worry about the 4. 4 minus 4, that's 0 on the top. But zeros on the top are okay. I just don't want any zeros on the bottom. So what's going to make this denominator 0? Well, how about negative 5 from here, 2 from here? So I'm going to say x is negative 5 and 2. Question 14 asks us for the values of x that are going to make this expression undefined. Now, I don't have to worry about the numerator. Numerators can be 0 and still defined. But denominators cannot be 0. So what's going to make this 0? So I'm just solving a quadratic equation here. So look at 2x squared minus x minus 6. Set that equal to 0. Let's factor. Don't forget to equal 0. I'll get 2x and x. Now, what do I want to do to get to 6? 6 and 1 or 3 and 2? I think I'm going to go with the 3 and the 2, just because they're closer together. Now, if I go with 3 and the 2 cannot go here, right? No 2's here because I would have 2's in common. And up here, there's no 2 in common. You can't suddenly have something come in common. So if I'm going to use 3 and the 2, I would have to do it this way. The 3 would have to go here, the 2 here. Now, the 6 is negative. So the 3 and the 2 have opposite signs. I will put that middle minus sign with the bigger of the two products. Now, the way I wrote it, the inner product is 3x. The outer product's bigger. That's 4x. So I'm going to put that minus sign right here. That'll give me negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. And from here, I'll get x equals negative 3 over 2. And from here, I'll just get 2. All right, so here's what we're asked. What values of x will make this thing undefined? These two values right here. In question 15, we're asked what values, if any, of x would make this expression here undefined. Well, an expression will be undefined if the denominator is 0. Don't worry about the numerator. Numerators can be 0. Denominators can't. Now, what do you know about x squared plus 25? X, no matter what you choose for x, pick any number for x, positive or negative. You square it, it's positive. So what you get here is a positive number plus a positive number. That's a positive number. It's never equal to 0. So there are no values of x that are going to make this thing undefined. Now, there's none, but what the textbook and the homework is asking us to write is D and E. It means does not exist. There are no values of x that will make this thing 0. And that takes care of all the problems out of homework set 18.